We are the Morning X, $5K a day. We have $5,000 each weekday to give away. We've done it once today, and it might happen again before we get out of here.
You know, you could win that as well when you're listening and anywhere that you're listening, because now we've got the free letter app. You can listen worldwide. Also, TuneIn, Apple Music, Sonos Local, Google, Alexa, 99X worldwide.
So in a world where our smartphones claim nearly 4.5 hours of our day, that's over a decade of our lives. Think about that. Is there a better way to live? A group in Washington, D.C. decided to find out. They traded in their phones and they got rid of their, think about it. You have to get paper maps now. You've got no way to do anything on a device with a program called Month Offline. And a Washington Post writer went through it. Her name is Brittany Shammas. She's here with us today. Brittany, why in the world would you put yourself through such horrid pain?
Well, I think the first thing that's important to say is I did not, initially plan on participating in this thing myself. I saw signs in my neighborhood saying, ditch your smartphone, spend a month offline. And I thought, now that sounds like a story idea. And so I called the group and I explained that I was a journalist for the Washington Post and I wanted to write a story about what they were doing. And they called back and they said, you can write the story, but you have to participate in it yourself.
Yeah, you got to live it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So, I thought about it and I felt like it seems like there's been some realization among people lately that perhaps we use our cell phones too much, and there's this sort of pushback happening to that. And so I felt like there was a bigger story here, and I had to convince my editor to let me do it. But eventually I agreed and I signed up.
Well, Brittany, being a journalist, how much time were you spending on social media, on your phone?
Oh, a lot.
I'm sure like hours a day, right?
Yeah, my screen time was scary. It was like 7.5 hours oftentimes, and I would look at that number and think that there must be something wrong there, like that can't be right. And then, resolved to do better the next week, but it still stayed pretty high. I use my phone a lot for reporting stories and also for like finding story ideas on social media, sharing my stuff, following other people's work. And so, yeah, the national average is like 4.5, but mine was much worse at 7.5.
I equate this to somebody like quitting drinking for a month or trying to do a cleanse. What physical, what did it do to you physically? Did you feel better? Did you notice any changes in your body or your routine?
Yeah, I did feel better. I think like one of the biggest changes for me is that I had this habit where I would wake up in the morning and my phone is on my nightstand and I would grab it and I would just like scroll through social media every morning. That's how I would start the day.
Well, we all do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, I think I had this awareness, like maybe this isn't the healthiest thing that I could be doing, but I still did it. And during that month, it wasn't an option. So I felt like I started the morning like a little bit clearer headed. I would be on the bus sitting there, reaching for a phone that wasn't there.
Ghosts.
Yeah, like this phantom phone. And so I spent a lot of time reading. Like I love to read, but I didn't read as much as I would have liked to. And then I realized I can put my book in my bag and take it with me on my way to work. And so I read a ton. I slept more. I spent less money too. I would think of something that I wanted to buy, but then by the time I was like back at a computer, I would have forgotten what it was. So definitely some positive changes in that way. It's not to say it wasn't inconvenient, because it was that too.
For a power user though, like yourself, what was the very first, like most shocking inconvenience that you realized? Like once you gave it up, you're walking free. I can't imagine these days you don't have your Apple Pay, you don't have your maps, you don't have anything. What was the biggest shocking thing you're like, oh, wait?
Well, so for me, the timing was a little bit inconvenient in that DC updated all of its bus routes and changed them literally the day that this started. And so I just kind of went to the bus stop and was staring at the map there, trying to figure out, like, okay, where, like, what is the new route, you know? And I usually paid with the Apple Wallet to get onto the bus.
Yeah.
And I obviously couldn't do that. And so I spent, like, a kind of embarrassing amount of time that morning digging out my old Metro cards, trying to figure out, like, is there any money on these things? What is my password for this account that I haven't used in years? And eventually I just, like, got on the bus with a fistful of them, like, hoping one of them will have the $2.25 that I need to take this bus to work. I got lucky. There was money on the card, and the bus route was, like, pretty similar, just with, like, different names, but I had to ask people. I had to talk to strangers, which I do that for my job, but I think that was the first moment where I was like, oh wow, like I'm really doing this.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
Searching for an inside look at the people, stories, and passion that fuel the state of soccer in America.
Who's going to be the key man for the U.S. men's national team?
First and foremost, they need to win.
There's something so fun about being the underdog.
You're playing with house money almost.
But what does this success mean for the future of U.S. soccer?
Ooh, you're getting deep now.
This is where soccer will come to life.
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
We're talking to Brittany Shammas, of course, the very brave Brittany Shammas, a journalist for the Washington Post who went offline for a month, didn't use her phone. Is there a certain kit for this? Because I saw you opening up a box, the Ditch Your Smartphone.
Yeah, so this group, when I walked in on the first night, I didn't really know what I was getting into because they promoted this thing through, like, posters on street signs. But when I walked in, they were super organized. They had these kits, and inside of them there was this pledge about, forgoing our smartphones for a month. And there was this little velvet pouch that had the new flip phone in it. And then they had this area where you were supposed to keep your smartphone. It said, like, smartphone zone, basically, like, pick up at your own risk. So they really, like, thought of a lot of things. There was also a little note of encouragement from somebody who did their previous cohort.
So you keep your phone. You don't give it to them.
Right. Yeah, you keep your phone. I suppose it's kind of an honor system.
That would never work for me. Never. Did you cheat? Come on. Did you cheat, Brittany?
Okay, so I did cheat 2 times in the month. I tried to really be good about it, but there were 2 times that that kind of I felt like I had no choice. The first time,
Come on.
I had an 8-month-old baby, and he came down with COVID, and I didn't have, like, a laptop on me, and I just, like, felt like I really need to go to, like, Dr. Google and just research, like, what are red flags. It was, like, nerve-wracking. I'm a new mom. He's my first. Yeah, so that time it was like I got off the phone and I had to search, like, 8-month-old COVID, baby with COVID, red flags, baby with COVID.
At least you can use a computer. I thought you couldn't even do that. Yeah. It's just the phone you're giving up.
Correct. You can use a computer, but you're really only supposed to use it in, like, a designated space in your home.
Oh,
so the idea is, like, it's basically like removing the internet from our pocket, so that you can use your computer, but it's when you're, like, stationary, and you're going to find that you don't want to sit in the same corner of your house. So you definitely use it less.
Yeah, I know that we're, joking around about this, but this is actually a serious problem, especially among teenagers and younger people. But did this make you change any of your habits? Because I do have friends that say, when I wake up in the morning, I used to pick up my phone, and now I don't for at least an hour. Like, did this happen to make you change any of your daily habits?
It did, yeah. Actually, what you're talking about is, like, one of my, I feel like, biggest victories. I don't start my mornings scrolling anymore. And, I do have the phone back. I'm using it a lot for work. I will say it made my job harder as a reporter, not having the smartphone. So I don't reach for it first thing in the morning, which feels like a win. I have found that my screen time is down, which feels big for me too. Now I'm at like 5 hours. Still too much, but better than where I was at before.
Okay, for teenagers and addicts, I think this is a great idea. For me, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. A phone.
I think you should do it.
No, a phone was made to make your life easier. I don't feel the pressures of my phone. I use it in every aspect of my life.
I do think, though, it helps you be more present, though, to be able to do things you forgot how to do, like take a walk.
No, I've mastered the art of acting like I'm present with my phone with me. I've mastered that.
But still.
Again, if people want to subject themselves to this pain, this group, you can still do this, right?
That's right. Yeah, they do cohorts every other month. So there's going to be one in November. And they also, you don't have to live in D.C. anymore. They have like a mail order version.
All right. Do you know where people can find it if they want to be crazy?
Yes, it's offline.community. I think you should do it.
No, it's really not for me. I mean, honestly, I mean, yeah.
Take the challenge.
All right, Washington Post. She's a writer, Brittany Shammas. Thank you for sharing this painful process. But it's kind of funny. You're like, yeah, my screen time's down from 7.5 to 5 hours a day.
That's still a long time.
I know.
Way to go, Brittany. Way to achieve. Hey, thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thanks for having me.
Great to meet you. We are the original. This is 99X.
Action. Next Roll is a groundbreaking podcast created and executive produced by Vernon Davis.
This is where we talk about reinvention.
The series explores the transformative journeys of athletes, artists, comedians, and entrepreneurs.
They don't just stop here. They just keep going.
Next Roll isn't about what's next. It's about why they do it, how they overcome fear, and the resilience it takes to keep evolving at the highest level.
That's what it's all about. Stay tuned.
Next Roll with Vernon Davis. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.